Aaron Rodenkamp, Hell Base Manager Trainee at the Harbison Hell Base here, supporting the Big Meadow Fire in the Rocky Mountain National Park on the west side of their jurisdiction. So at 7:30 every morning we do briefings, and about 8 minutes or 9 minutes into the briefing, right when we were about wrapping up, one of the guys that were with us, who was our deck trainee, overheard on the radio some sort of medical traffic.
At 7:39, Luther stopped breathing. At 7:40, CPR was started by the EMT and Captain 3 Alpha. At 7:48 is when the AED machine was on scene, and the AED was initiated at that time. Yeah, I was doing the radio communication, but the EMTs were dealing with the actual patient. And then when the medics got there, they relieved the EMTs. The EMTs are still involved, but the paramedics were now taking over.
So we were doing our in-brief for the day, and overheard on the radio. It was really scratchy, but we overheard that there was a medical situation on the hill. So I stepped out of the briefing and called communications back on the radio, and they informed us that there was a medevac. It was, probably 7:30, 7:40-ish. And then we went over and told the Hell Base Manager Trainee Aaron of the situation, and he told me to come over here and just listen to the radios and start taking radio traffic.
I just shook his hand, let him know Happy Father's Day, turned around. 3 seconds later, I hear a hard hat fall, and turn around and I see him, which looks like to be a seizure. And my first thoughts were to get our EMTs and my captain. So I called Murph and I'm like, hey, Luther's down. Him and Tanner ran over to Luther. And then after that, I was told to kind of block off the little area. And then Adrian from Arrowhead had said he had 2 more EMTs, and that's when I said, all right, I was cool with them going.
When I heard my name called, I ran over there, saw guys kind of circled up. There was Luther kind of slunched over a rock. Looked like his back was up against a tree, kind of. Looked like it was a full-on seizure. I told Gabe, I said, hey, make a wall with the fellas. I don't want anybody seeing this, and then, Tanner was also there, and so we just kind of moved Luther into the middle of the trail just to kind of get him away from everything, make him as comfortable as possible, because that's what we initially thought was happening. And then Andrea showed up. At first I was, kind of like, hey, we got this, he started getting a little worse. Even the people that weren't like directly involved, the EMTs, especially the Arrowhead EMTs, I think Andrea was checking for pulse, signs of life while we were breathing and pumping. They were rotating out. And so then I think they rotated out, I think, one time, and then, that went on, and it just, things just looked more dire and dire as the time. It felt like an eternity, but yeah, that's kind of what happened that I recall. That's right before the AED got there.
The patient was laying right here. Stokes' litter was just up right there. People on both sides of him attending to him. Right, the AED was sitting out on this side, right. Medics, airway bag, and IV kits were all down here by his feet. And then pads were on the patient. And when we showed up with all our gear.
I don't remember how many cycles we gave him, to be honest with you. I was just, kind of just focusing on him, but it was pretty apparent that he was in a bad state. Everybody just played off each other, like I said, good breath, nice chest rise. I mean, that's kind of stuff that you want to hear when you're doing that, because typically you want to be looking at the chest when you're doing it, but when you have other people there kind of letting you know, reassuring that, hey, things are going good. All right, we're doing things right. Hell, let's just keep doing it until we get something. And then I just remember Adrian from Arrowhead, something about the AED, and I just remember him saying he's going to drop his pack, and he just took off like a bolt of lightning.
No, when we were flying out, we discussed it. The EMT approached me, and I just kind of said, you know, went up to Joe, and he said, let's pack it. So we flew it in there just because, you know, doing the reading the Andy Palmer incident and all that, just realizing how important that is out there. So we decided to pack it out. And when this all went down, it was just like just second nature. I was like, Zaus or Randy, come up here, because I know I'm pretty close with the horseshoe guys. And I know that Murph he was an EMT, but he let it go. And I know, you know, I know we have a lot of EMTs on our crew that are pretty darn good. And so I had them come over here, and right away, it just like AED, like we brought that AED, let's get it going. I'd rather be safe than sorry. I mean, if we didn't need it, then we don't need it, but let's get it going sooner than later. And I mean, I'm close with Luther. I didn't even think about it. I just took off, got there, got the AED, started coming back, and I was just, you know, my body told just kind of, oh shit. Started going slow and slow, and then that's when Berto came in and just took off with it.
Yeah, we're running right behind you, me and Willie, and then we saw the medics coming our way, and they had stuff with them. And then with me, I think Berto said like, "Hey, stay behind those guys." So me and Willie did. Those guys, you know, had a lot of equipment and just getting tired, you know. And we swapped them. That's when that chain or that really started from there.
Some oxygen showed up at some point, and someone had a back valve mask, so we hooked the O2 up to that. People were rotating in and out with compressions.
We were all there for the same reason, you know, to do everything we could to help out Luther.
The medics showed up. We got the AED hooked up and on, and just things kind of like went in the order after that. We changed up once the medics were there.
A great paramedic showed up. He was authoritative, but calm. You could tell he was experienced. I think his name was Moreau or something, from the Grand Canyon Bike Crew.
There, they instructed us to like continue with 200 compressions and breathing at the same time, the proper rates, and they started pushing some drugs, and I believe after the first shock and some compressions after that, you could see his carotid pulse. You could actually see it start thumping. Medics hooked him up to their readers and packaged him up and got him
out. How we remained kind of fluid on the pack out. Like we had a plan at first if we were going to chain him, and that plan kind of changed, and we were ready for both chaining or carrying the litter.
Here's a trail system, so from there it's carried across some creeks to get back over to H1, which is right here at Spike.
What my whole role was to get an aircraft there to get the individual out, and so that's what happened. To me, it was just an overall bog down of communication, and I think people maybe thought they could just leave one of the frequencies clear, which was the command frequency, and then start talking on the other frequencies. Well, I even at one point just I told Zach here
I think
to
one
be
good
on
thing
one.
that like I think Joe was just going to get there is when things started to get, like there's stuff coming on this channel and this channel and this frequency and this frequency. You know, there was, you know, a few of us standing around at this point while they're in transport. It was like, hey, you listen to air to ground, I got command, you got TAC, you know, you got this. So we're not sitting there flipping back and forth in our radios.
Rocky Mountain National Park, where's your emergency? Hey, this is Big Meadows Communications. We need a medevac ship to our Hellespot 1. Okay. Right now we got a party down. We're doing compressions and rescue breathing on him.
We'll put the litter right over top of it, so if it does fall, slips out someone's hands, it doesn't all the way down to the bottom, it just falls another 2 feet and hits the bridge. First way? Yeah, straight across the bridge, head first, and people just lined up in the stream on both sides. Up that little slope, up this slope, and we laid them right in front of you. Right in this old brown grass.